Well, this is Let Us Interrupt You, aka just myself. Let me interrupt you. Episode 143 here on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. Game 7 was in the books on Sunday. The Sixers got destroyed by the Celtics, as predicted, as I figured was going to happen in this game. Jason Tatum had 51 points. This guy was dynamite in this game. And you talk about a clutch time at the race at the right time. If Jason Tatum didn't prove that he was the man of this team, the leader all in all in the end, the guy who's willing to step up to the plate or be a good number two. I think he proved to be a good number one and a great number two at the same time. But this man proved that he was the it for the series and why he actually helped his team win the semifinals here in 7 games. You talk about a guy that put it away really in Game 6 and really put it away in Game 7. He scored 51 points. He was 17 for 28 shooting, 8 from 11 from the free throw line. Just dynamite with a 3-point shooting. I think it was like 9 for 12 in the game for 3. Really all wrapped up. I mean, it was over before really the second half began. The Sixers looked like they were going to run away with it, but by the end of the first half, they weren't. And the Celtics opened up that third quarter just unleashing the 3-ball. Like, it was not pretty what the Celtics did to the 76ers in this game. You could argue right now they were under 80 points in that game instead of letting them loosen those last 2 minutes. But when you're outscoring your opponent 33-10, it was phenomenal on how that game finished out. And really the Celtics, in a way, they just put that game away. There was really – the Sixers had a chance to come back. They just blew it. James Harden only had 9 points in the game, had over like 7 turnovers in the game. I believe he had 5 or 6 rebounds in the game, 5 assists. I think that's what the numbers were for James Harden. He was a minus 31 in the game. Joel Embiid was a minus 30 with, I think he had about, I want to say it was 12 or 13 points, I believe, for Embiid in this game. Actually, he had 15 points, because all in all, they combined to get 24 points, both Harden and Embiid. This was a game that was ugly for Embiid as well. Went 4 for 22, 4 from 23. It was not a good game, to say the least here. And thanks to that Game 7 loss, Doc Rivers has been fired from the 76ers at this point. And the numbers don't lie. When you're a coach that practically is 6-10 in Game 7s as a head coach, and all-time to playoffs is 17-33, it's not looking good for you. It's not looking good for you if you're Doc Rivers at this point. It sucks. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. The Celtics at the end of the day are going to be playing Miami on Wednesday, Game 1, in the Garden, 8:30 at night. They deserved it, in my opinion. They deserve to go to this series, to this finals, to this matchup here, to rematch one more time, face Miami. I think this is over in 5. I can't imagine this unhealthy Miami Heat team forcing a 7-game series. I can't imagine it. At this point, it's based off the pressure and the fact that they're an 8 seed at this point, and they're completely drained, I can imagine, being the 8 seed at this point. And Butler's been carrying them. Butler is the only guy that's been carrying them. And you got a guy who's playing a high ankle sprain. That's not easy either. The fact that he's playing with a high ankle sprain like that throughout, and that happened back in Game 1 of the semifinals, is just nothing but remarkable. You got to give the guy some props. You have to. This series right now going forward is going to determine who wins the NBA Finals, because it's Lakers-Nuggets. I like the Nuggets in this series to win. If it had to come down to it, I'd say they win in 6, 7 games maybe for Denver. Otherwise, it's LeBron James, so I think the Lakers might have a better shot of winning this in 6 in LA. I've got to be realistic here. I hope Denver wins, but I'm sort of sticking with the LA pick here, just because at this point it's clear at this point. But if Denver were to win this series, it had to be a 7-game series, because they're not going to close it out in Los Angeles. They're not going to. And ultimately, they become the losers in this whole thing because they're going to lose the NBA Finals, whoever wins this series, regardless. This was just not a good night. If you're a fan of the 76ers. And we just got some breaking news. Yep, we just got some breaking news officially. This is according to Sports Illustrated. Coach Mike Grzelski, former Duke head coach, leads the National Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2023. So Coach K will be honored. He's going to be put in the NBA Hall, really the Basketball Hall of Fame. He'll be enshrined in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, the NCB, of the class of 2023. Greg Popovich and Coach K should have their own statue. At this point, I may just come up with some numbers here to debate about this whole thing. Well, who's been a better coach at this point? If Coach K were to have gone in the NBA, would he have been a better head coach than Greg Popovich? That's a good debate to have with somebody. That may happen this week. So that's some great news right there that Coach K is going to be enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Well deserved, by the way. And this is a guy that has been retired really for only 1 year out of the basketball world. And has taken the NBA head coaching job, or not head coaching job, the NBA office job. PR, not really PR, but he's basically the guy who's right now in a possibility of running the entire league. Could force Adam Silver right out. And think about this for a minute. That could be a scenario where someone like a Bill Belichick could run out Roger Goodell as a commissioner. Although I don't think realistically Bill would be likely bossed around by 32 other owners. Here's my question: would Coach K like to be bossed around by 30 NBA owners? Really, at the end of the day, I don't think they really are in control of him. Really, I think it's the other way around. Now the more I even think about it. The NFL just plays their own games. The NBA, the commissioner tells these teams what to do. So I don't think Coach K would be bullied by this. But more on the head coaching news, besides the Coach K being inducted in the Basketball Hall of Fame, which again, congrats, well deserved in my opinion. Especially on the resume of this guy. I'm going to get more on the resume and stuff like that for Friday. This week's show, by the way, Friday and Saturday this week. That is the plan. I apologize I didn't do it last Friday, but this particular Friday, I will be doing the podcast Friday. And I may have to do a show tomorrow because Game 1 of the Lakers Nuggets is on tonight. So that will be on tomorrow. It's just going to be a quick review in that game. Won't be too long. But it was a crappy weekend for some NBA head coaches. Doc Rivers was fired today. Monty Williams was fired on Sunday during his daughter's grad. I don't even know if it was Sunday or whatever. I think it might have been Saturday. That Monty Williams was fired. The day of his daughter's graduation, he heard the news. Didn't even receive a call from the Phoenix Suns organization. And this goes to show right now how much they really appreciate Monty Williams after all these years. I mean, 2-time head coach of the year, led a team to the NBA Finals, got Kevin Durant there. And I don't think this is a Kevin Durant kind of call because realistically, Durant was just a rental player for one season. And it doesn't seem like now he's going to stay in Phoenix now after this firing anyway. So there you go. There goes Phoenix again, starting from back to status quo, sucking. So, I mean, I don't know. You're losing DeAndre Ayton. You're losing Chris Paul. You're losing Durant. You're losing Monty Williams. I mean, what can you really say about that, really? Mike Bolter was let go. The NBA has literally the worst track record when it comes to keeping head coaches around that are actually good. At this point, as far as where Monty Williams goes, the question right now is where does Doc go into this? Does Doc go coach the Phoenix Suns after this at this point? Can we say now realistically that could happen? Is Doc Rivers going to be the one that leads? And really, is that going to be the coach that makes Kevin Durant and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton stick around? Because I don't see Chris Paul going anywhere anytime soon. I don't. I think he'll go. I think if anything, if he were to go somewhere, it's to retirement. I think the guy's played long enough. Guy's definitely a first ballot Hall of Fame point guard. There's no question about that. DeAndre Ayton, as far as the eye can see, I don't think they're appreciating him enough. And I know he didn't have much of a great series, but if I had to say right now where he would end up going, it would probably be with the Memphis Grizzlies, realistically. And there was a rumor about that happening last year as well, right around this playoff time, right around last year, that season that ended. There was either going to be a contract extension or he would want to get traded to Memphis. So that's that. The other thing is Monty Williams never got appreciated once as a head coach. Never got appreciated in his time in New Orleans, and especially here in Phoenix. Never really had any true appreciation, coaching the Suns, really. And I think for a guy who was a two-time head coach of the year candidate and won it all twice right now, in back-to-back. And look, too bad second-round exits where you lose at home. I mean, that is no excuse. I get that. But is that to fire somebody over? No. The guy's only been part of this for 4 years. It's not like this guy missed the playoffs, didn't try, didn't care, didn't put any heart into it. He did. He made the right adjustments. He adjusted the right thing. The problem is you got a team that quit. And it's not quitting on the coach. It's not quitting. It's really quitting on themselves. They're not doing it for themselves. And I think realistically, Phoenix sports has always been full of quitters anyway. So this is nothing new. This really didn't surprise me as much with the Phoenix Suns and their exit. But the fact they fired Monty Williams, that was shocking. I really did not expect him to get fired. I think he got a raw deal out of it. And I think realistically, it's one of those things where Monty Williams had to go find another team at this point that can appreciate him and his talent. Monty Williams, I think, honestly, would be a really good candidate for the Milwaukee Bucks job. I think he can turn Giannis Antetokounmpo completely around, completely fix him, and really do something that no one else has gotten him to do, which is getting Giannis's head. I think Monty Williams can do exactly that. He helped it out with Devin Booker's game, being less selfish, making Chris Paul a better point guard, and making Kevin Durant the man, really, in Phoenix. And more ways than one, not making it all about him. So at the end of the day, it kind of works out, if you're Monty Williams at this point. I think he's a good candidate right now to take the Milwaukee Buckhead job. I would not be surprised if he got hired the next week or so for that job. And honestly, Mark Jackson, I think he belongs with the Phoenix Suns. He was going for a head coaching job in Milwaukee earlier this week. My prediction is he ends up with Phoenix at this point. I don't know if he'll be good enough to coach that team in the long haul, but I think it'd be interesting to see what Mark Jackson does. I mean, he's a good ESPN analyst. He was a coach for the Golden State Warriors at one point. I think from 2008 to 2014, the head coach that team for us. So you figure, okay, that makes sense. It's all part of the story here. Anyway, so we got that news out of the way. We actually went through two things of news this week. Ja Morant. Might as well get into this one as well. I actually didn't even include it in the description of the episode today. But Ja Morant got suspended again for another gun video. Gee, what a shocker. It happened at Denver nightclub back in March where the gun incident happened at. This time around, he was driving in the car. He was on an Instagram live video, and he was doing a selfie with the gun in his hand. So Morant's suspended. We don't know how long the suspension is going to be at this point. He's been suspended from all team activity. To that I say he should be suspended for the entire year. You talk about making yourself look bad once again for the exact same thing you were just disciplined for not that long ago, probably like 2 months ago at this point. So to me, he needs to be gone for the entire year. He needs to miss an entire year of basketball. He needs a lot of help in rehab, I think, realistically, too. I mean, to go there for 90 days and to not get anything out of it, to me, is or not 90 days. I'm sorry, 90 hours of rehab. That's like a druggie right there that's looking for his fix at this point and leaves the rehab facility without a doctor's note allowing him to leave the rehab. I don't know what Ja Morant's issue has been going on lately. I don't know why he's threatening people with guns at this point. I don't know what makes him think at this point he has the right to do that. And treat the area that he lives in like the Wild Wild West. This goes to show me now that how much appreciation he really has for the city of Memphis at this point. I mean, not too long ago, a guy was just literally just gunned down by the police right at this point for, trying to make his way home at this point as the cops were shooting him. I mean, I don't know. Is Ja Morant at this point, the new sheriff at this point in Memphis? Is that what we're trying to get at this point with this whole gun show? I don't know. To me, it's just sad. It really is sad at this point. NHL playoffs were on over the weekend. Vegas Golden Knights got the W over the Edmonton Oilers 5-2. And for the 30th straight season, there will not be a Canadian team winning the cup. 30th straight season. That's got to suck. That particular series, all in all, for the Golden Knights, Golden Knights got the 5-2 win here. McCarkis had the hat trick here with 3 straight goals. Hill had 38 saves. Folke had the 1 goal from the Oilers. Again, it really started out with Ryan Smith with a goal. Connor McDavid got a goal of his own. Warren Fogle took the lead for the Oilers, made it 2-1. And then after that, the Knights just went on a run. Marchette with a goal, 3 straight goals in the second period, and then William Karlsson late in the game with an empty netter. That was said by Nicholas Roy and Riley Smith. They're going back to the Stanley Cup final. If this doesn't make the Bruins look like a complete bunch of buffoons to let Bruce Cassidy go, I don't know what does. Bruce Cassidy at this point was a great coach. The problem with him at the end in Boston is that he lost the team. And I said to myself, there's no point of keeping this relationship intact at this point. I'm not attacking Bruce Cassidy in any way, shape, or form here, although I may have done that on this podcast. Because I always figured he was a problem anyway because he wasn't getting through to people. And I think at this point, for someone that's not getting through with somebody, you make a switch. It's that simple. I thought they were going to find a much better head coach at that point. They picked Montgomery, a guy who was a flight risk. And I thought, I don't know if that's going to work or not. We're going to be heading back in the same status quo. And you got Patrice Bergeron and Marchand Krejci that's still there. And they're holding down the fort saying, this is our team. When really in reality, they're saying that we're the Bruins and we're this and that, making themselves look completely stupid in the end and letting a coach get fired. Really, in reality, if we're going to be realistic here about the whole Tuukka Rask retiring here scenario, Tuukka Rask retired before the start of the season, right? Because the whole plan of it was for because Tuukka didn't and Bruce Cassidy never got alone at this point, which made Bergeron have heat with him. And Marchand was never really a fan of Tuukka Rask, really. Krejci might have been a little bit. But when you got a coach at this point who's trying to help the team, and Rask wants no part of it because he's practically checked out at this point. Bergeron, who's been checked out since he lost the Stanley Cup back in 2019, he should have retired 4 years ago. Right? Like the whole thing is a joke. When you know it's time for you to go, but you don't want to grasp the reality that you're slower now than you were beforehand, and you were the worst player in the entire series. And he was the worst player in the entire series last year's playoffs as well. And the playoffs before that one as well. So this is nothing new with the Bruins in this whole thing. They keep players that don't want to be there for far too long. They have no problem getting rid of coaches, though. Players, they do. They treat it like an in-house family, and they shouldn't. That's the reality. They might as well put pacifiers on half these players because they can't handle a little bit of controversy and a little bit of criticism. Taylor Hall gets in his own way. Lindholm, who hasn't been relevant since he's been with the Ducks. He's not really the key guy to replace Marchand or Krejci or any of them, really. And if anything, I thought he was just a rental. But apparently he's a long-term plan for the Bruins. And a guy who's going to be entering in his 30s pretty damn soon. So that's that. That was last night's game. That was Sunday night's game. Last night's game, the Dallas Stars beat the Seattle Kraken 2-1. They got the take away 22 saves. Hintz with a goal and Johnson with a goal for the Dallas Stars. Seattle got the late goal in the end there with Oliver Borshkin. By Yanni Gordy with the assist, but it didn't matter. The Seattle Kraken could not win back-to-back Game 7s. They fall short of the Dallas Stars in Dallas, and that's it. Dallas Stars will be facing up against the Vegas Golden Knights. I believe that start will be on Thursday. Or is it Friday? Because it's Friday. Friday, May 19th is when that series will begin. Thursday, May 18th, will be the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Really surprised they have a long hold off for this. Really didn't expect that series to be delayed that late. But again, who knows? Who really knows at this point? If I sound monotone, I do apologize. My voice today has just been like funky today, really. Anyway, so that's that. Let's get into let me circle back to the Celtics for a minute, because I don't think I did a good enough job justice here for covering this matchup. 112-88, by the way. Box score in this game: Tatum had 51 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists. Brown had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Went 9 for 19 in the game, 3 from 6. Tatum, by the way, was 6 from 10 from 3, and 11 for 14 from the free throw line. Horford and Williams both got 6 points. Horford had 10 rebounds, though, and 3 assists. Marcus Smart had 7 points. Didn't do much shooting in the game, which was pretty good. And Brogdon had 12 points in the game, 5 for 14 from field goal range, 2 from 6 from 3. And that's how the Celtics won. They won practically with Tatum and Brown by themselves. It was 2-on-12. Hate to say it, but it was. That's what it needed to be there in that case. Philly tried to do too much in this series, and they came up short with it. Tobias Harris, by the way, was the leading scorer at 19 points, by the way. Tucker had 11 points, and Embiid had 15 points for the Sixers. 5 from 18 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, 5 from 6 from the free throw line. Harden was 3 from 11, and he hit in his turtle shell. Was so definitive, too, in Embiid's press conference saying, me and Harden at this point have got to adjust. Harden needs to go. James Harden is a all-star game phenomenon who can shoot a 3 from anywhere, basically pulls a Steph Curry out of his ass. But when it comes to winning a championship or winning in a clutch situation to get to a championship run, Harden sticks his head in the sand, doesn't do much of anything. So that's that. So I circle my way back to that. So let's talk some baseball that happened last night and really over the weekend. Red Sox, they suck. They got swept by the St. Louis Cardinals, the worst team in the National League. And last night, they lost to the Seattle Mariners 10-1 at home. 10-1. That was the final score of that game. They're going to be a complete waste of time to watch this entire season. I may not even go to a game this year. If anything, I might go to a Red Sox-Yankee game just so I can avoid being seen by the Boston media. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Because we all know about my Red Sox rant at this point. And at this point, I don't think I have the voice today to rant today about this team at this point. I thought I would on my way home. But I was more agitated with the traffic I got on my way home. It took me about 40 minutes to get home today. Anyway, they lost last night 10-1. Pretty pathetic performance the Red Sox had last night. Just really was pretty bad when you think about it. All in all, this team just needs a lot of help. They really do. Tanner Houck is a problem as a starting pitcher. He's not a starting pitcher for this team. He needs to go. Kluber, who pitched for the Red Sox the other night, he sucks. He needs to go too. His ERA is at 7. Houck at this point might as well have an ERA of 5 point. Actually, he's close to 6 at this point. He needs to go too. They all need to go. They all have horrible pitching at this point. They have a bad starting rotation. They do. This was an ugly game from the word go. They were not ready for the Mariners in this game. Devers had the only RBI in the game. He had an RBI double. Suarez, Pollock, Frentz, and Pollock again got RBIs in the game. Clancy got an RBI, fielder's choice. Riley had a 2-run shot. I mean, this game was just completely over by that point. Not even worth watching. I'll give you the rest of the scores from yesterday. Nationals beat the Mets 10-3. The Angels beat the Baltimore Orioles 9-5. Sorry, that's the ESPN voice over there. Yankees got the 7-4 win over the Toronto Blue Jays. Houston Nationals beat the Chicago Cubs 6-4. Padres shut out the Kansas City Royals 4-0. San Francisco Giants get the win over the Philadelphia Phillies 6-3. The Dodgers in 12 innings beat the Twins 9-8. The Atlanta Braves shut out the Texas Rangers 12-0. The St. Louis Cardinals beat the Milwaukee Brewers 18-1. That's right, 18 runs scored. Nardo's homers in 4 straight games. Cards rout Brewers in a 4-game winning streak. The Cardinals might be on their way back. They're 8 games below 500, granted, but they may be on their way back of being relevant once again in baseball this season. Rocky beat the Cincinnati Reds 9-8, and the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Oakland A's 5-2. The A's now dropped to a record worst, and probably the worst record in the entire league, 9-34. And it is the worst record in the entire league. So there you go. Other than the Red Sox sucking right now at this point, if I had to say who traded this trade deadline, Tanner Houck and Kluber have got to go. They've got to go. Take the $10 million loss at this point, if you're the Red Sox at this point, for signing this guy, and just end it there. Just end it. It's pathetic at this point that we're even continuing this whole thing. It really is. Sad, really, when you think about it. Really is sad. Let's take a look here. We got some more stuff to talk about right now at this point. Devontae Adams talked about his 2022 season. He said, quote, Devontae Adams last season proved he doesn't need Aaron Rodgers as he pursues Jerry Rice's record. Adams, it says here in the article, Brian Diardo wrote the article saying, Devontae Adams loved playing football with Aaron Rodgers, but the former Packer receiver was tired of an apparent growing narrative that his success was largely due to catching passes from a 4-time league MVP and future Hall of Fame quarterback. Adams, by virtue of his success without Rodgers last season, feels that he has put the narrative to rest. He said he felt vindicated when he named All-Pro for the 3rd consecutive season, which kept him alive his pursuit of Jerry Rice's receiving record of 5 straight All-Pro nods from 1996. He said, quote, now people can't say that, Adams says, of the comments regarding his success being tied to Rodgers via the ringer. That'll never be the narrative ever again. It proved that I am me. A quarterback doesn't make me. And I can do make me, and I can do it consistently at this level. I hate this quote already right from the get-go. I do. Devontae Adams, I will say this right now, does not need Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers needs Devontae Adams more than Devontae Adams needs him. That's my take on the whole thing. The guy can go for his 5th All-Pro, which I think he'll get this year. And I think he'll break the record, I think. I think he'll get his 6th All-Pro the following year with the Las Vegas Raiders. You got Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. And either way you look at it, you got Jarrett Stidham at quarterback. So he can do with either, or actually, no, they didn't know. That's right, he went to Denver. But realistically, if you think about it right now, you got the quarterback that you want in Jimmy Garoppolo. You've got a really good team. They've got a really good system. I like their chances. I really do. I seriously like their chances. You can make a realistic case at this point. Former NFL star says he would come out of retirement to join Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. This was back yesterday, I guess. I said this on Saturday too. I thought this would be a tease, but I guess he's actually serious here. Former NFL Brandon Marshall is the one that said he would come out of retirement at this point. He was one teasing it. He brought up recently on I Am the Athlete podcast, and he said he was asked if we wanted to play with Aaron Rodgers, and he said responded yes. This guy's a 6-time Pro Bowler who spent his entire career as a receiver. He said he'd be willing to make the switch to tight end if it meant getting the chance to play with Rodgers for one season. Brandon Marshall's a tight end, I can't imagine. I didn't even realize how serious he was, but then I'm reading this as we're talking here live. It's kind of dumb. I don't like the idea of him being a tight end at this point, although I think realistically it'd be a hell of a story. You know what would be a really good place for Brandon Marshall to go and play, realistically? But I would say realistically, Brandon Marshall would be good for the Las Vegas Raiders. You want to know why? Jimmy Garoppolo could use another wide receiver. He's a veteran wide receiver. You got Devontae Adams there as well, Marshall, Hunter Renfrow. And Marshall, I could say realistically, could be a good tight end with Michael Mayer if he were to go to that tight end route. So to me, I think realistically that'd be a good story here, as far as him being a tight end for the Raiders go, and it's a good replacement to have at this point with replacing Darren Waller, or in this case, realistically, if the Jets aren't optional, how about Josh Allen with the Bills? Brandon Marshall could be a really good Buffalo Bill wide receiver, and I think realistically could make that team into a playoff caliber team. I think they could really do it here. Justin Houston has made his deal well known that he is looking for a deal at this point, but there's been some options of where he would possibly feel like he's potentially to land in this point. This is according to Tyler Sullivan. The initial waves of the NFL roster building have come and gone, but that doesn't mean there isn't any top talent still to be acquired. One example is veteran pass rusher Justin Houston, who is receiving significant interest from multiple teams around the NFL. That's according to Matt Lombardo of Heavy Sports. This is where the options are coming in at this point. Justin Houston could go to the Buffalo Bills. Houston has played for 9 playoff in his games in his career and has reached the postseason 7 times. However, has never won a Super Bowl. Given that he's at the latter stage of his career, one would imagine that he'd be likely to check that box off on his resume. So the Bills would be a good fit. I think Justin Houston would be an awesome addition to that Buffalo Bill defense at this point. You have Von Miller there, Justin Houston, and I can't think of the other guy. I'm trying to blank the other guy's name now. I'm drawing a blank. I'm like, what the hell am I trying to blank on here? But it'll come to me at some point. I'm gonna the roster real quick. He just signed recently a deal as well, which pissing me off here. It's on the tip of my tongue too. I can feel it. Oh God, it's not AJ Klein, although Klein's another good. Oh, Matt Milano. That's what it was. Why was I drawing a blank on him? Anyway, Chicago Bears is another option. The Bears would be a good one because it would help out their defense out a lot. They just got Edmonds from Buffalo, so I guess Houston would be a really good spot. Giants are a good one as well. I do believe the Seattle Seahawks will take him though, and here's why. You got Bobby Wagner back there. You got Justin Houston back there. That is a good linebacker combo. That's a scary combo as well. 2 veteran linebackers who are awesome at their craft, who've been in this league for so long. And I think would benefit for having him in a nice Super Bowl run with Seattle if they make it to that level, which I think they will. But if I had to say another team that if Seattle wouldn't want him, I think Buffalo would be my second choice. Third choice, if I had to be honest and opinionated about this particular call here, the third choice would be the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions at this point could use another linebacker at this point. You're teaching Jack Campbell, the linebacker rookie out of Iowa, something. You got Aiden Hutchinson there as well. That's a scary defense. That's a terrifying defense. So I would take that one in a heartbeat. I would. So let's see. We covered that. We got some news about Isiah Wynn. He's going to the Miami Dolphins. He reportedly signed a 1-year deal. He's taking an untalented South Beach ass, which is what he is. He was born and raised in Georgia. He spent his time in Florida before, probably, around South Beach, around the Keys. So he's going to be familiar with that area. He's taking an untalented ass to South Beach, where he belongs. A useless offensive line piece. That's what Miami typically goes for there. He goes for one of the worst offensive lines people that they can possibly put on in a starting lineup. That's been their MO for years. This is probably why they've gone through quarterback at the quarterback for so many years. Tied up with the Jets and the Browns, really. So, the Dolphins at this point, if their offensive line is going to be good this year, it'll be nice, but I have my doubts. I really do, especially with the signing they have now. It just, to me, it doesn't really make a lot of key sense here for that to happen, and it just would be very interesting at this point to see what they do. It would be interesting to see what they do. Anyway, let's try and look into my feed here at this point. I think I was getting a message on my phone. We got some announcements right now about Deion Sanders and where his first game will be coached on Fox Sports weekend. So it's a Big 12 weekend. His first one will be TCU. Opening weekend for FS1 for Fox for college football weekend. It's the Big 12. They just made that announcement on, I think it was actually this afternoon, actually, or not this afternoon, actually a couple of days ago, actually. They made the announcement. So the Buffaloes will open up the season against TCU on Fox's big noon Saturday telecast, which is good. Really good testament for Colorado at this point and Deion Sanders, and really the players he scared off at this point and made him transfer because of his attitude. Really big testament, I think, now going forward. We got Penn State will host Iowa in the first announced Big Ten on CBS college football game as a part of the new TV deal. That was according to Cameron Salarone, and that was posted on as of yesterday. And while the Big Ten will become a permanent fixture at CBS Signature's 3:30 time slot beginning in 2024, the conference will see a number of games played on the network as its new TV deal begins at the start of the 2023 season. First of those contests to be announced should quite a scene as Penn State will host Iowa on Saturday, September 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern as the whiteout game, which is basically the Penn State team will be wearing all white in their uniforms. So that should be interesting. That should be really interesting now going forward. Speaking of interesting, the NFL has decided to put a playoff game on playoff weekend on Monday, which they're saying now it was supposed to be just Saturday. Now it's switched to Monday. Monday night NFL playoff game on Peacock, which has angered a lot of football fans. I think they're doing it for Saturday and for Sunday. And to that I say, I don't know why people are so angry by this, because you're literally not paying $5 at this point if you don't have cable. You're paying $5 a month for this membership at this point, which is really what's all it's going to cost. It's not like they're putting on Amazon Prime like they do for every Thursday night football game at this point and make you pay $17.99 at this point. Or if you're trying to pay off the entire year, $300 right out of the gate out of your account. Because that's the idea. They just want to rip people off by doing that. So that's that. The other thing is, too, is I think this would frustrate a lot of people at this point because no one cares about a Monday night playoff game. I don't want it. And I think that the fact that you're going to make Peacock executives, which, by the way, they don't really care about viewership at all or ratings. They care about the money impact that they're going to get in the NFL, which is, by the way, this is big money. More NFL exposure, more money for the league, more money for Peacock. That's all it's about. But what Monday night playoff game at this point has proven anything? Hasn't proven a damn thing. In fact, the Buccaneers and Cowboys had that last year. That game sucked. You've had 2 straight years now of sucky playoff games on Monday now at this point. And really, it's fans are unhappy because they have cable and they don't even know what Peacock even is. They live underneath a rock. They're used to paying for an antenna, basic cable. Now you have this to tell them now, and they can't have that because they don't have a smart TV. You're going to piss off a lot of freaking people. But really, it's a piss off a lot of people as well who's trying to watch it on a Saturday, and they'd rather watch the cable version of it than Peacock, than finding a bunch of people that work for Peacock to broadcast that game. Because that's what's going to end up happening. They're not going to get the top broadcasters that work for NBC or anything like that. They're going to pick out the worst people that shouldn't be broadcast to begin with. If you don't believe me, go watch back the URI football games that are being telecasted through the college networks. They're pretty bad. Or YouTube TV last year when they did a Red Sox game last year. They were terrible too. They find any person that shouldn't be broadcasting this thing that they're paying lots of money to, and they suck at their job. And that's the problem I have with that. That's why people might be angry with it. I think some people are angry with it just because of the money aspect of it, which is, if you're paying $10.98, you're not paying for the game. You're paying for the fact that you're watching a live event without commercials. So, yeah, to that I say, if I would be mad too if I found out I would want to watch a playoff game at this point and you're going to put out a Peacock. But another thing is that the NFL is making that announcement official So people can think, oh, we're going to just forget about it 8 months down the line when it does happen. And we're all going to forget about it. Happens to some people, happens to me a lot. But a thing like that where I want to watch a playoff game and now I got to stream it on Peacock at this point, and I had to mute the game because I can't listen to the dumb broadcasting. I'm better off spending $1,000 at a football game watching a playoff game than that. Sorry, that's why people don't want to watch it on a streaming network, because they know that broadcasters are going to suck, and they're going to pay how much plus the cable bill. So I wouldn't want that either. I don't blame those fans for being unhappy at all. And that's pretty much it. I think I already mentioned about Todd Bowles getting his master's degree. Was it a bachelor's degree or master's degree? I don't even remember what it was. He got a degree over the weekend. So if I already mentioned that, let me know in the comments section. I really have nothing else to talk about here in this podcast. I will be back here I may have to come back on here tomorrow because of the basketball review. And actually, before I actually go, there's actually one bit of news I really need to get into, is that the Bills signed linebacker Shane Ray, guy who has been out of the NFL for at least 4 years at this point, will be playing for the Buffalo Bills. He was a good defensive end linebacker guy. I'm surprised he's actually still considered playing football at this point. I don't know why a guy who was drafted for 1 year at this point was drafted in 19 and not doing anything. I don't know. Just seems weird. Shaquille Griffin has signed a deal now with a new football team. Former Jacksonville Jaguar, now going to be with, and I have the article right in front of me, but it's taking forever to load. This is going to Athlon Sports. Signed a new 1 year deal with the Houston Texans. So he'll be officially a Texan for the 2023 NFL season. And the Todd Bowles news is that he made a promise to his mom he would get a degree, and he fulfilled his promise. And one final bit of news before I really do sign off. After criticizing the previous drafts, Patriots owner Robert Kraft says the team had a great draft in 2023, which I think he's just delusional at this point, because I think this was probably one of the crappier drafts he could have had at this point. I mean, I get there were some different picks made here, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, you get some wide receivers in the 5th and 6th round at this point. They need to prove themselves to be on this team. And a linebacker that really is not that good at linebacker coverage at all. And one great defensive back in Christian Gonzalez. That was a steal. That was probably the only good steal out of the entire draft. And Kraft, could criticize all the other drafts besides his. He was happy about 2021's first-round pick in Mac Jones. He should be happy about 2023's first-round pick in Christian Gonzalez. That's the only good thing about that draft that the Patriots did. The rest of it was questionable at best. And you can even argue even then not getting Broderick Jones. Why would they not want to get another offensive guard? It's beyond me. It's usually in Bill's repertoire, but who knows? You can follow me on my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. You know the drill. You've listened to it to every episode on here. I do have to run. I will be back here most likely tomorrow to do the review for the Lakers-Nuggets game, which is going to be on tonight. So enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Or enjoy the rest of your, I should say the rest of your week. I'll be back on here tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. I'm out. Peace. I'm gonna leave you to with the nice little theme song here.